Nobody owes your dream a rescue. Not your mood, not your past, not the people who walked out on you. And the part that stings is this. Your dreams don't care about your feelings. They will die while you are still explaining why you were tired, hurt, scared, and not ready. And if you need a place where the truth keeps finding you on the days you want to quit, hit subscribe and stay close because some fights are too heavy to carry alone. I know that hit hard. I know you are tired. I know some mornings feel like you are trying to stand up with bricks tied to your chest. I know what it feels like to look at your own life and wonder when you became this version of yourself, this quiet version, this delayed version, this almost version. I know what it feels like to want more and still do nothing. That pain is real. Let's not lie about that. But your pain can be real and your excuses can still be killing you at the same time. Think about that. We live in a world that tells us to honor every feeling, bow to every mood, slow down for every doubt. But the dream in your chest is not built that way. Your dreams don't care about your feelings. They care about your steps. They care about your habits. They care about what you do when nobody is clapping, nobody is watching, nobody is coming. Say it again so it lands where it needs to land. Your dreams don't care about your feelings. A man can feel unsure and still move. A woman can feel broken and still build. A tired person can still take one more step. Feelings are weather. They change fast. 1 hour you feel strong. Next hour you feel small. One day you feel ready. Next day you want to hide. If you build your life on weather, your life will shake every time the wind changes. But if you build your life on rules, on habits, on promises you made to yourself, then you stop asking your feelings for permission. You stop waking up and saying, do I feel like doing the work? You start saying, this is who I am and this is what I do. That is a different life. That is a stronger life. Think about push-ups. Nobody asks their feelings to count the reps. The floor does not care if you had a bad night. The floor does not care if your heart got broken. The floor does not care if your friends are ahead of you. It only gives back what you put into it. One rep, then another, then another. That is how a body changes. That is how a life changes. Not by magic, not by motivation alone, not by waiting for the perfect morning, but by doing the next rep when your mind says stop. A lot of people want the pride without the practice. They want the reward without the routine. They want the story without the struggle. But life does not hand out medals for intention. Life responds to action. Life responds to action. Life responds to action. Let that settle in. You say you want peace, but your habits are full of chaos. You say you want confidence, but you keep breaking promises to yourself. You say you want a new life, but you keep protecting the old one. That is the real war. It is not you against the world. It is you against the weak deal you keep making with yourself. 5 more minutes. 1 more day. I'll start Monday. I'll do it when I feel better. Days become weeks, weeks become months, months become years, and one day you wake up old enough to know better and still living beneath what you know you were built for. That is not bad luck, that is drift. That is what happens when feelings drive the car and purpose sits in the back seat. No one is coming to wake you up. No one is coming to force discipline into your bones. No one is coming to build your future while you scroll your life away. The person capable of changing your life is already in the mirror. Not your boss, not your parents, not your ex, not the world. You. I am not saying be cruel to yourself. I am saying be honest with yourself. There is a difference. Honest says, yes, I'm hurting, but I'm still moving. Honest says, yes, I'm afraid, but fear does not get the final vote. Honest says, yes, I feel weak today, but weakness is not my name. Your name is not delay. Your name is not doubt. Your name is not almost. You were not made to spend your whole life warming up. You were made to begin. So, when the alarm goes off, when the room is cold, when the bed is soft, when the dream feels far away, remember this simple truth. The floor only counts the reps, and your dreams don't care about your feelings. So tell me, when the moment comes, and nobody else is there to see it, which version of you is going to answer? A dream is a lot like a seed. It does not look like much in your hand. Small, quiet, easy to miss. But hidden inside that little thing is a tree, a forest, a future. The problem is that the seed has to disappear before it becomes anything beautiful. It has to go into dark soil. It has to be covered up. It has to sit in silence. It has to break open under pressure. And that is the part most people misunderstand. They think if life gets dark, it means the dream is dying. They think if nobody sees them, it means nothing is happening. They think if it is taking too long, it means they were wrong. No, sometimes being buried is exactly where growth begins. Think about that. A seed in the soil does not look successful. It looks forgotten. It looks hidden. It looks alone. But hidden is not the same as abandoned. Quiet is not the same as useless. Slow is not the same as dead. Some of you are in that season right now. You are working, but nobody notices. You are trying, but nothing is blooming yet. You are changing in private, and the outside still looks the same. And because the outside still looks the same, you start doubting the work. You start digging up your own seed every other day just to check if anything is happening. That is how people ruin their progress. They get impatient with the part of the story that cannot be rushed. Roots grow before fruit shows. Character grows before results show. Discipline grows before confidence shows. It is underground first. It is invisible first. It is ugly first. That is how real things are built. We all love the harvest. We all love the fruit, the smile, the money, the strength, the peace. But the harvest is always loud because the roots were quiet. The harvest is always public because the roots were private. You do not clap for roots, but roots are the reason the tree can survive the storm. Let that settle in. A lot of people are trying to look successful before they are strong enough to carry success. They want fruit with no roots. They want attention with no depth. They want the top without the underground work. But if you rise too fast with nothing holding you down, the first hard wind will snap you in half. That is why the hidden season matters. That is why the lonely season matters. That is why the boring season matters. Water the seed, water the seed, water the seed, even when you cannot see the tree yet. Read the page, make the call, save the money, train the body, leave the habit, tell the truth, keep the promise. Not once, not when it feels magical, daily, quietly, faithfully. You do not need fireworks every morning. You need water. You do not need applause every night. You need roots. And here's the truth people skip because it hurts. Your dreams don't care about your feelings. The seed still needs water when you feel discouraged. The soil still needs work when you feel unseen. The dream still needs loyalty when nobody understands what you are doing. Some of the strongest people you will ever meet are not strong because life was easy. They are strong because they stayed with the process when it was dark. They learned how to trust slow growth. They learned how to keep showing up with dirty hands and a tired back and a quiet heart. They learned that becoming is often hidden before it is obvious. So stop insulting your future by quitting in the dirt. Stop calling it failure just because it is not blooming on your schedule. Stop measuring your life by what is visible today. There is more happening than you can see, but only if you stay with it. Only if you keep watering it. Only if you refuse to confuse silence with defeat. One day people will call you lucky. They will see the tree. They will praise the fruit. They will admire the shade. And they will never know how many lonely mornings you spent pouring water into dirt that gave you no sign back. But you will know. You will know that the tree grew because you kept faith with the seed. You will know that you became somebody in the dark. And when that day comes, the fruit will taste different because you suffered for it, waited for it, worked for it. So ask yourself this: how long are you willing to stay loyal to a seed that nobody else can see yet? Now let's make it even simpler. Your life is a wall, and every day you lay a brick. That is it. Not 10 years from now, not someday, today. One brick, then another brick, then another brick. People get crushed because they stare at the whole wall. It is too big, too high, too far. So they freeze, they panic, they overthink, they do nothing. But nobody builds a house by lifting the whole thing in one afternoon. You build it brick by brick, one workout, one chapter, one clean meal, one honest conversation, 1 hour off the phone, one saved dollar, one hard choice repeated until it becomes your nature. That is how walls rise. That is how futures are built, and most people lose because they disrespect small things. They call them too small to matter, but small things decide large lives. A tiny leak can sink a big ship. A tiny lie can break a strong bond. A tiny habit repeated long enough can either save you or bury you. Think about that. We all want a dramatic comeback. We all want one big moment where the music swells and everything changes. But real life is quieter than that. Real life changes in kitchens, in cars, in dark rooms, in early mornings, in plain Tuesdays when nobody is inspired and somebody still keeps their word. That somebody can be you. No excuses, no waiting, no rescue, just bricks. People say, I just need motivation. No, you need structure. Because motivation is a visitor. Structure is a roommate. Motivation comes and goes. Structure stays. Motivation gets excited. Structure gets results. Motivation shouts. Structure stacks. Let that settle in. You cannot keep living like every day is a brand new debate. Should I do it? Should I skip it? Should I delay it? That is exhausting. Make fewer emotional decisions and more identity decisions. I am the kind of person who trains. I am the kind of person who finishes. I am the kind of person who keeps promises. When you decide who you are, the daily bricks get easier to place. Not easy, easier. There is a difference. And let me tell you something else that matters. Missing one brick is not the end. Falling once is not the end. Feeling off for a day is not the end. But turning one bad day into a bad week, one bad week into a bad month, one bad month into a whole new identity, that is where people lose years. Because days become weeks, weeks become months, months become years. That is the time trap. That is how drift becomes destiny. It never looks dangerous in the moment. It looks harmless. It looks like one more snack, one more lie, one more scroll, one more nap, one more excuse. But every choice is a brick, and every brick is voting for the life you are building. Your calendar is talking, your habits are talking, your choices are talking, and they are saying more about your future than your dreams ever will. A dream without bricks is a wish. A goal without bricks is theater. A promise without bricks is noise. But once you start stacking those simple actions, something shifts inside you. You stop seeing yourself as helpless. You stop seeing yourself as behind. You stop seeing yourself as a person waiting for a miracle. You become a builder. Builders do not cry over every brick. Builders place them. Builders do not need perfect conditions. Builders adjust. Builders do not chase feelings. Builders respect process. That is why your dreams don't care about your feelings. The wall will only rise if the bricks keep showing up. Not your excuses, not your speeches, not your intentions, your bricks. So if your future home was built only from the bricks you laid this week, would you be proud to live inside it? Life also moves in seasons, and a lot of pain comes from expecting summer while you are still standing in winter. Winter is when things feel stripped down, trees look empty, air feels sharp, progress looks gone. Winter is when bills show up, energy drops, people leave, plans stall, and your mind starts whispering that maybe this is all your life will ever be. And that whisper is dangerous if you believe it, because winter has fooled many good people into quitting right before the season changed. Think about that. Just because the tree looks bare does not mean it is dead. Just because the field looks empty does not mean nothing is happening. Winter is not proof that life is over. Winter is proof that life knows how to survive. Some of you have been judging your whole future from one cold chapter, one breakup, one failure, one rough year, one season where your heart got tired, but you do not read one hard page and throw away the whole book. You do not see one storm cloud and declare the sky ruined forever. You do not walk through one winter and decide spring is a lie. Seasons change. They always do. The question is whether you will last long enough to meet the next one, because winter asks different things from you. Summer asks you to enjoy, spring asks you to plant, autumn asks you to release, but winter asks you to endure. Winter asks you to stay warm without applause. Winter asks you to keep moving when the road looks empty. Winter asks you to hold the line, and that takes a special kind of strength, not loud strength, quiet strength, the kind that gets up anyway, the kind that smiles less but means more. The kind that says, I may not feel powerful right now, but I will not betray my future because this season hurts. That is real strength. No complaining, no collapsing, no surrender, just endurance. Let that settle in. Some of the greatest changes in your life will not happen because you felt amazing. They will happen because you refused to quit in a low season. You kept showing up in the cold. You kept your standards when your emotions were weak. You kept your faith when the ground looked frozen. And then one day, almost without warning, life turns. The same tree, the same roots, the same field. But now the season is different. Buds appear, light stays longer, air softens, and all that work you did when nobody envied you starts to show itself. That is why patience matters. That is why staying matters. That is why panic is such a thief. Panic makes permanent choices because of temporary weather. Panic quits jobs, breaks promises, leaves dreams, trashes progress, and calls it relief. But relief is not always healing. Sometimes relief is just escape in a nicer outfit. Be careful with that. Sometimes what feels hard is not wrong. Sometimes what feels slow is not broken. Sometimes what feels lonely is the exact path to the life you asked for. And yes, I know winter can make you question yourself. It can make you smaller. It can make you bitter. It can make you envy people who look like they are in summer while you are still scraping ice off your own windshield. But envy will not warm your hands. Self-pity will not grow your future. Complaining will not change the season faster. The only thing that helps is staying faithful to what winter still allows. Read, train, save, heal, learn. Pray if you pray. Reflect, prepare, rest without rotting. Slow down without stopping. Because when spring comes, and it will, the people who used winter wisely will be ready to bloom. The people who wasted winter blaming the cold will have to start over. Your dreams don't care about your feelings in winter either. The season may be harsh, but the call is still the call. The work is still the work. The promise is still the promise. So tell me honestly, are you going to judge your life by this winter? Or are you going to stay long enough to meet your spring? And now we get to the deepest part, because none of this lasts if your focus keeps wandering and your identity keeps begging strangers for permission. A magnifying glass is a simple thing. Put it in the sun and move it around all day and nothing happens. But hold it still in one spot and that same light becomes fire. That is your life. Your energy is not always too small. Your focus is too scattered. One day you chase money. Next day approval, next day comfort, next day distraction, next day revenge, next day a new plan, next day no plan at all. And because you keep moving the glass, nothing catches, nothing burns, nothing changes. Let that settle in. Focus is not just about what you do. It is about what you stop touching. It is about what you stop feeding. It is about what you stop calling your personality when it is really just your habit. You cannot build a strong life while giving your best energy to nonsense. You cannot become sharp while drowning in noise. You cannot hear your own calling while living off the opinions of people who have never had the courage to chase theirs. Think about that. A lot of people are not tired from the work. They are tired from the split. Half in, half out, half committed, half hiding. One foot on the gas, one foot on the brake. That kind of life burns the soul. Decide. Decide what matters. Decide who you are. Decide what gets your time and what gets cut off. Not because you hate life, but because you finally respect it. The person capable of changing your life is already in the mirror, but that person gets stronger only when the mirror stops asking the crowd who it should be. You do not need everyone to understand you. You do not need everybody to clap. You do not need old versions of yourself to agree with the new one. You need alignment. You need truth. You need a clean yes. Here's what I mean. If you say you want peace, stop feeding chaos. If you say you want strength, stop dating weakness. If you say you want greatness, stop practicing escape. Your future is not hidden in mystery. It is hidden in what you keep repeating. That is why your dreams don't care about your feelings. They also do not care about your image. They do not care how wise you sound, how deep your captions are, how often you talk about growth. They respond to what is real, what you repeat, what you protect, what you refuse, what you become. No masks, no pretending, no more hiding from yourself. Some of you do not need another plan. You need a funeral for the old excuses. You need to bury the weak story that says, "This is just how I am." No, it is not. It is how you have been. That is different. The story can change, the pattern can break, the focus can sharpen. And once it sharpens, watch what happens. The same hours start producing more. The same body starts moving different. The same mind starts talking different. The same life starts rising because the light finally stayed in one place long enough to become fire. One choice, one direction, one standard. Hold it there. Hold it there when you are doubted. Hold it there when you are lonely. Hold it there when you are bored. Hold it there when your feelings beg for a softer road. Because the fire you want on the outside will only come after the focus you build on the inside. Your dreams do not need a more emotional version of you. They need a more honest one, a more focused one, a more disciplined one, a more faithful one. So when your future self turns around one day and looks back at this exact season, will he thank you for finally holding the glass still? Or will he grieve the years you burned on distraction? Nobody owes your dream a rescue. Read that in your bones, feel it in your chest, carry it into the morning. Because one day, if you choose right now, you will wake up in a life that used to scare you with how big it felt. You will stand a little taller. You will breathe a little deeper. You will look in the mirror and trust the eyes looking back at you. Your body will be stronger because you trained it. Your mind will be quieter because you led it. Your future will be brighter because you stopped asking your feelings for permission. You will remember this season. The cold mornings, the lonely work, the quiet choices, the days nobody noticed. And you will smile because that was the season you stopped being the person who almost did it. That was the season you became dangerous to every excuse that once ruled you. That was the season you finally understood that your dreams don't care about your feelings, but your future will care very much about your actions. So rise before your mood does. Move before your doubt speaks. Build before your fear votes. No excuses, no waiting, no quitting, just focus, just faith, just becoming unstoppable.